Let's look at this fantastic but complex. I'm almost intimidated by this poem by Daljit Nagra, Look We've Coming to Dover. I think it's an amazing poem that's speaking to Matthew Arnold's poem. Dover being that Dover Beach in Lear already as that mythical end of Britain, the cliffs being the border. And, you know, from what I know of Matthew Arnold's poem, he's celebrating these cliffs, this moment, this place. And what Nagra's done is he's kind of flipped it on its head, and instead of a Britain celebrating Britain, it's the voice of immigrants coming to settle in England, and reflecting on it and celebrating it as well. But in a language that is almost as alien to me as Matthew Arnold's. Because I kind of have a grip on what they're saying, and I'm dislocated. And it's because the language is reflecting, the dialect and the vocabulary of a multi-racial language like English, which it is. So he's giving us the history of the language. In a way, and he's showing us that, so there's a plurality there between now and then, but then there's, even now there are many different ways of speaking the language, and it's our job almost to struggle and figure out what's being said, and also to just enjoy. I mean, for me, I enjoy the sounds, even though a lot of the understanding. Every time I read the poem, I feel I get a little bit dizzy by what's actually going on. Okay, let's try it nonetheless. Look, we have coming to Dover. So you get that grammatically incorrect. Look, we're coming to Dover. We have coming to Dover. Look, it's something we own or possess. This Dover. Or this arrival, and I think that what might be seen as an error actually we could exploit for interpretation more. So various, so beautiful, so new. So he's focused on these aspects of Dover Beach, and so we're going to think about how does this apply to this poem. It's going to talk about the difference of people, the beauty and the freshness, stowed or hidden in the sea to invade the alfresco lash of a diesel breeze ratcheting speed into the tide, brunt with gobfuls of surf, phlegmed by cushy come-and-go tourists, proud on the cruisers, lording the ministered waves. There's so much going on here. Stowed, hidden. So hidden in the sea, in the boats. And what their description is they are invading, sneaking, attacking. The alfresco lash of a diesel breeze, ratcheted speed into the tide. So they're invading via these boats, and the surf is itself a bunch of spits. The white surf is described as phlegm, or phlegmed. It's phlegmed. The verb is what's going on with the beach by cushy, these comfortable come and go tourists, proud, standing on the cruisers, lording the ministered waves, as if they rule over the waves that are carefully cared for. So the contrast, I think, and again, it's very difficult, but I think the contrast here is between the immigrants who are stowed, I think, and the tourists who are come and go. They're not really invested. They're here at Dover, and they feel like they're really powerful, and that they actually own or rule this place. And they come and go. They're gonna, they're just here to visit, and as such, they feel that they rule it, that there's something that they possess it. Whereas in contrast, the immigrants, they're here for real. They've invaded. They've hidden themselves to invade. Seagull and shoal life, vexing their blarneys upon our huddled camouflage, past the vast crumble of scummed cliffs, scramming on mulch as thunder on bladders, yobbish rain and wind on our escape, hutched in a Bedford van. Whoa, again, another huge soundscape that really confuses me. Let's start at the end. Our escape hutched in a Bedford van. So now that they're here, they can hide and hutched. That for me is the hidden. Escape is flee to Bedford in vans, of course, because there's so many. All this beach life seems to vex or upset them, all huddled, like that image of immigrants huddling together. Our huddled camouflage past the vast crumble of scummed cliffs, scramming mulch, as thunder on bladders, yobbish rain and wind. Okay, so I have to go backwards. So our escape, there's lots of rain, and they're being poured upon, and it's this first experience of sea life, of weather, and how it upsets them, and the cliffs themselves seem scummed. They're falling apart. There's this disgusting introduction to Britain that emphasizes their fear, their confusion, but also all the sounds and the language, scramming, mulch, crumble, scummed. It's still this fun with the language. I mean, thunder doesn't rumble, it unbladders. Rain is described as yobbish, as if it's personified into young, reckless youth that are bothering them. And in these things, there is the threats, the difficulties of moving to Britain. But then, of course, ends with that long thought at the end of the stanza. At the end of the stanza, we get this idea of them fleeing or escaping. Time moves on. Season or years, we reap inland. We reap. You reap is when after you've harvested, you pull it in. You pull in your crop. So what they've planted, if we continue the metaphor, they've planted their small businesses. They planted their plans on how to grow bigger and wealthier, and now they're reaping, and they're reaping this inland. They leave the sea, unclocked by the national eye or stabs in the back. So they're unseen by the nation. Or stabs in the back, or betrayal. So they're not really concerned that they're not seen, I think, or they're not caught up in ideas of betrayal, teamed for breathing sweeps of grass through the whistling asthma of parks. I love that line, the whistling asthma of parks. Teamed for breathing sweeps of grass. So what are they? I don't know what is meant here. I think it could be, maybe they're criticized. I don't know, for being, for spending time relaxing in parks. But the whistling asthma reminds me of so many Indians I know, myself included, who are allergic or who don't like the parks, or there's something negative here. There's something worrisome about even their activity of breathing in the parks. So there is some sense that they are not wanted. There is some tension there in that web of language. That's what I see. but they are both burdened and ennobled. They have weight on their backs, but they feel royal with that weight. Immigrants feel powerful, pulling sparks across pylon and pylon. I wonder if this is reference to race riots. So what you see really carefully and, really densely packed, I think, I could be misreading the poem, is that entry of the immigrants against the tourists, that differentiation, the difficulty, the physical difficulty of being in England. And then as they're getting on with life, the parks are still causing asthma. There's still some sense of a negativity, a burden, and the possible threat of being here. Swarms of us grafting, swarms, David Cameron is using this kind of language as if they're insects, borderless insects being able to, in large clusters, get into the country, grafting in the black within shot of the moon's spotlight. Grafting in the black within shot of the moon's spotlight. Wow. So, grafting is hustling, if you know immigrants, if you are in any way around them, of them, with them, they're grafters. They're just hustling all the time, trying to get some money. But what are they grafting in here? I don't know if I'm reading it properly. Grafting in the black within shot of the moon's spotlight. Could this be when the moon, in the dark shadow of the moon, where the moonlight isn't shining, that's where they come. Yes, that's it. So that's where they're finding themselves in the darkness, discovering places to sneak in, banking on the miracle of sun. So there's that wonderful contrast of images. They're coming in the dark like insects, but why are they doing it? Because there will be sun. There is hope. There is a reason we're doing all of this, and this is not tourism. There's a reason why immigrants are fighting and trying to come, and that is the miracle of sun. To span its rainbow, passport us to life. Now look at that. Nouns being used as verbs. Passport is, the document that will allow you to travel, but there's a metaphoric meaning that the new country it will take you to is one of hope, financial support. Only then can it be human to hoik ourselves barefaced to the clear. Only when you have this passport, this literal and metaphorical passport, can you hoik, can you pick yourself up and barefaced for the clear. You show your face. Now you're fine. Now that you have your passport, again, both metaphorical and literal, now you are free. That is what we're fighting for. Imagine my love and I. Please, reader, think in your mind. Imagine, see in your mind. My love and I, he's very good at and then switching modes to that classic, poetic voice. Imagine my love and I are sundry others blared in the cash. We're talking about new labor. We're talking about it's the 90s now. They're making, this surge of middle class money. Tony Blair. In our beeswax cars, our waxed up cars, our crash clothes, free. Imagine us free. That word sits out. Clear, free. We raise our charged glasses over unparasoled tables. Now they're on Dover without parasols, without umbrellas to protect them from the weather. And they're looking east now, because they're in the west. They're looking back to home, babbling our lingos, talking in their language, which this poem has done. Flecked by the chalk of Britannia. Beautiful. That crumbling